ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। Pranams everyone. So we are in the chapter 3. We are looking into Karma Yoga. We have finished Sloka number 14. We have to go to Sloka number 15. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Karma Brahmodbhavam Viddhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajñe Pratishtitam. Karma Brahmodbhavam Viddhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajñe Pratishtitam. So Bhagavan has been talking about Karma Yoga here. And in Sloka number 14, Bhagavan had mentioned about how Karma Yoga is Jagat Chakra Hetuhu. Karma Yoga is responsible for this Jagat Chakram, this cosmic cycle of creation. And there we saw that cosmic cycle consists of first body. The body itself is dependent on annam or food, and the food is dependent on the rains. And then the rains are dependent on the punyam that is generated, and the punyam itself comes out of karma, and the karma has to come out of body again, and therefore the cycle completes. So body to annam, annam to rains, rains to punya, punya to karma, and karma to body again. So we saw how that Bhagavan had said Karma Yoga is Dharma Karanat. Karma Yoga is the sustainer of Dharma, which in turn sustains the universe. And the social balance is maintained by Karma Yoga, and if the social balance is impacted, then the individual also gets impacted. And therefore, Karma Yoga is necessary for an individual's spiritual growth directly. So that is how Bhagavan had mentioned that is what Bhagavan had mentioned in Sloka number 14. Now in Sloka 15, now because in the previous Sloka we know that the rains are dependent on, we said Punya. The body is dependent on food, food is dependent on rains, and rains are dependent on Punya. And it was also said that the Punya or the Apurvam, as what Bhagavan calls in that Sloka, comes out of karma, action. And that Punya will generate rain, and through that rain, food and food from body all comes about. Now we can get doubts on various things here. The first doubt could be, what kind of action, what kind of karma generates Punya? Or if action is able to generate Punya, then from where did this action get the power of Punya from? Or we can say, who decides which action generates Punya, which does not generate Punya? Or there can be questions like, how do we know which karma maintains the balance of the creation and which karma violates the balance of the creation? In other words, what is the pramana for karma? Where can I understand about karma? Where can I find out all these answers to these questions? And for us human beings, we have limited intellect. We cannot use our intellect to identify which karma will create cosmic balance, which karma will create cosmic balance violation, which karma will generate punya, and so on and so forth. We cannot ascertain that. So we can never be fully sure whether our action is ultimately good for humanity or not good for humanity. So where can I find the answers from? Bhagavan says here, the karma has come from Vedas. Here the word karma has to be understood as karma jnana. Knowledge about karma has come from Vedas. Karma itself does not come out of Vedas. Karma can come out of body only. It is the Vedas which give us the knowledge about action. What action will give what is ascertained by Vedas. So if we go to Sloka, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. Karma Brahma Udbhavam Vidhi. Vidhi means know. Know that. Know that what? Karma. Here karma means, as I said, karma jnana. In other words, knowledge about karma. In other words, what is the right action? Which are the right actions? What are the wrong actions? Which action gives punya? Which action gives papa? All those things. The knowledge about karma. Where has this come from? Brahma Udbhavam. Brahma Udbhavam means it is born out of Veda. Here the word Brahma means Vedas. Remember, Brahma has got, depending on the context, many meanings. Brahma can mean Parabrahmam. Brahma in some places means Brahmana Jati. Brahma also means sometimes Chaturmukha Brahma. Here Brahma means Vedas. Udbhavam has to be understood as Pramana Rupa Karanam. In other words, Vedas are the Pramana Rupa Karanam for karma. In other words, Vedas act as the instrument. Pramana means instrument or source of knowledge. Vedas are the source of knowledge for knowledge on actions. In other words, Vedas tell us which are the right actions and which are not. Vedas tell us which are Nitya Karma, which are Naimitika Karma, which are Nishiddha Karma, which are Kamya Karma, and so on. So, Karma Brahma Udbhavam Vidhi. Now the next question, where did this Vedas come from? Bhagavan says, Brahmaksharam Samudbhavam. Brahmakshara Samudbhavam. Vedas are born out of Ishvara. And that's the end. We cannot go any further. It stops here. Vedas are the breath of Ishvara. Vedas have come out of Ishvara means what? Vedas are the breath of Ishvara. In one Upanishad Vakyam, it says, Tasya Mahato Bhutasya Nishwasitam Yevai Tadyad Drigvedo Yajurvedaha Samavedo Tadarva Vedaha. It means, Nishwasitam means breath. So the Vedas have come from the Shwasa of Ishvara, breath of Ishvara. So which means the Shastras, the Vedas, they do not depend upon the human intellect. Whatever Shastras we talk, especially all the Shruti, all the Vedas, which talk about the way of life, which is meant for universal harmony, these are not the product of human intellect. It's not that somebody had said that this is what is good for everyone. It doesn't come out of like that. It is not, unlike science. Vedas are different. Science is called as Paurusheyam Shastram. The Vedas are called as Apaurusheyam. Apaurusheyam means they are not the inventions of human beings' intellect. We should never take the Vedas as inventions of human intellect. Because any invention of human intellect will have its own minus points. In fact, the Shastras itself says that Paurusheyam, anything that is coming out of humans, can have multiple doshas. We'll see 4 of them. There are multiple doshas, 4 of them. One, Brahmaha. Brahmaha means mistake. So some people commit mistake when they are producing some paper or research paper, or when they are doing some experiment. And they might be convinced that they are right, not knowing that they are wrong. So that's kind of one dosha, Brahmaha. Then the second one is Pramadaha. Pramadaha means carelessness. We use in Tamil Pramadam means superlative. But here Pramadaha means carelessness. People arrive at some conclusion without being careful. By chance they could go wrong as well. So there is some amount of carelessness that is also possible. Then Karana Apatva, the third one, sense organs fault, or in other words, whatever instrument that they are using to actually deduce or arrive at a conclusion, there could be some defect in that. There could be defect in our sensory objects also. Our karanas may not be able to perceive it correctly. So mistakes can arise out of that also. Some kind of manufacturing defect, we can say. So that is Karana Patvaha. Then Vipralipsa, the fourth one. Vipralipsa means cunningness. Some people cheat. Some people have an intent to cheat others. There are lots of studies these days in which they already decide on what should be the outcome, and therefore they structure the whole content based on what they want to arrive. So that is all Vipralipsa, trying to gain advantage by lying, covering up things and all those things. So Shastra says these are the 4 different types of doshas that could be there in anything that is produced by human intellect. But Vedas, they do not have these doshas. That's why today when you see somebody does a research and he gets a doctorate, and then 10 years down the line somebody else does another research, that theory against the theory that was actually produced earlier, which got a doctorate, this person also gets a doctorate. So there is nothing which is permanent. Whereas the Vedic teaching, it's not been there for 100 years. It's not been there. Nowadays, anything within the last 10 years gets refuted every time. Recently, I saw something where they said that LDL cholesterol is good for health. So they keep changing. One theory is always negated by the next one. But Vedas, they have stood the test of time. Whether it is 5,000 years old, 10,000 years old, we don't know. We believe that it has been there if we have Shraddha, we will take it as I said, Nishwasitam. It is the breath of Ishvara, so it has been there from the time of creation. And creation itself for us is beginningless. There is no beginning for the creation. So Vedas, we do not find, if we find a defect in Vedas, it is because we don't know how to understand it. That is how we have to take it. We do not have the necessary intellect to understand it. Now, having said that, there are people who might think that, but were not the rishis who gave the Vedas, including Gayatri Mantra, was it not actually given by Vishwamitra? No, it was, rishis did not invent the Vedas. The Vedas were there. Vedas were revelations through the rishis. Rishis just served as a medium for receiving this teaching, Vedic teaching. In other words, like the television today, television does not produce music. Music has already been transmitted elsewhere. The television just acts as a medium for the manifestation of the music, or mobile phones for that matter. So the television set or the mobile phone sets are specially prepared. Not every device can receive it. Similarly, the rishis have prepared themselves for receiving this Vedic teaching through tapas, through dhyanam, through meditation, through those kind of things, but they have prepared themselves for this. So thus we can see from this Sloka, from Ishvara came Vedas, and from Vedas have come the Karma Jnana, the knowledge about actions. Now this particular Sloka, we should not include this in the chakra, because the chakra is already completed. The body to body, the chakra is already completed. This is a standalone Sloka. What Bhagavan says in this Sloka is, the information about karma or actions have come out of Vedas. Now, the second line, Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. Tasmat means therefore. Therefore, Brahma Sarvagatam. The Vedas are all pervading. The Veda is all pervading. The Vedic knowledge is all pervading. In other words, wherever the Vedic Sampradaya is there the Vedic teaching is prevalent. Or in other words, we can say, the world is functioning on the basis of the concepts found in Vedas. The world is functioning on the basis of the concepts found in Vedas. Where does the Vedas get established? Where is it prevalent? Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Nityam Pratishtitam. It is always employed. Vedas are always employed. Where? Yajne. Nityam Pratishtitam Yajne. Yajne here means worship. So Vedas are there. It is established in worship. Worship means it can be sacrifice, dhanam, sharing, whatever. Vedas are established wherever there is dhanam happening, wherever there is worship happening, wherever there is some tapas happening, Vedas are all established there. So only when our life is on the basis of Vedas, only then it becomes Vedic life. Otherwise, any kind of materialistic life is called as animalistic life. So the Vedas so this purport of this Sloka is, the Vedas which are all pervading are exhibited in the yajna that we perform. In the Karma Yoga actions, in the actions that we perform, the Vedas are all established. So for a person to grow spiritually, if a person wants to grow spiritually, it is necessary that the person have the knowledge of Vedas. When we say knowledge of Vedas, that person should know what karmas to do, what karmas not to do. Because only then, by performing the right karmas with the right attitude, that person will be able to establish harmony in the society. In other words, he is able to perform Karma Yoga, which is responsible for the Jagat Chakram, Hetuhu. It is responsible for the cosmic cycle, and therefore he is able to support the chakra. And if he does not live according to Karma Yoga, then in other words, it means he is rejecting Vedas. And by rejecting Vedas, he is rejecting Ishvara. Now, for a person who is rejecting Karma Yoga, for rejecting Ishvara, for rejecting Vedas, how will his life be? Bhagavan explains in the next Sloka, Sloka number 16. Sloka number 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yaha agaru indriya ramah mogam partha sajivati. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah agayurindriya ramah mogam partha sajivati. So here Bhagavan concludes Karma Yoga. He started Karma Yoga in the 6th Sloka itself. Now he concludes here in the 16th Sloka. Now in the coming Slokas, Bhagavan will cover topics related to Karma Yoga. Here he is concluding Karma Yoga. And how does he conclude? Evam. Evam means in this manner. So he is actually concluding Evam, in this manner. Pravartitam chakram. Chakram means this cycle, cosmic cycle. Pravartitam. Pravartitam means which is happening, which is initiated. Who initiated it? Bhagavan himself. We should know that. Evam pravartitam chakram na anuvartayati. Na anuvartayati. Iha yaha. Iha yaha. Yaha means who. Na anuvartayati. Who does not follow. He who does not follow. Iha. Iha means in this world. So this cosmic cycle which is initiated by Bhagavan himself, he who does not follow this in this world, so which means here is a person who is in this human world taking a human body, and one who does not follow this lifestyle prescribed by Ishvara in the Vedas. Where has he prescribed? Vedas. Vedas are Ishvara's word. In other words, he who does not live the life according to Dharma, and that's where the problem comes. Today what happens? A lot of people or many people claim that it is not possible to live honestly. That it is not possible to live with integrity. Those things are not for common man like us. That's a common statement. And they say it is only for people who are in the spiritual path and we are all commoners. It is not meant for us. Bhagavan is very clear. He says everybody who is in this human world. He says one who does not live according to Dharma. How does Bhagavan describe those persons? One who does not live according to Dharma means those people who do not follow the cosmic cycle initiated by me in this world. That is what Pravartitam chakram na anuvartayati iha yaha. Those who do not follow Dharma, those who do not follow the Karma Yoga lifestyle. Bhagavan describes them and he gives them 3 adjectives. Number 1, agayuhu. Agayuhu. Agam means papam. Ayuhu means life, jivanam. Agayuhu means papa jivanam. Means he has a sinful life. He is a sinful. Now, how is Bhagavan able to say that he is sinful? Because there are only 2 paths. One path is Dharma, the other path is Adharma. If a person is not living according to Dharma, then automatically he is going to the path of Adharma. And therefore, Bhagavan says, Agayuhu, sinful. Their life is wasted. The purpose for which the body is taken will not be achieved. See, this body can be used to do papa or to do punya. This body can be used to enjoy pleasures or seek moksha. In other words, it can be used for bhoga or yoga. The choice is ours. So the using this body for sensory pleasures is like using a sandalwood for cooking. If sandalwood is there, would you use it for actually some other purpose, for actually creating some scent for which it is made of, or would you use it for cooking? That is how it is. Shastras describe. Then that's agayuhu is the first adjective. Then the second adjective Bhagavan says indriya aramaha. Indriya aramaha. Indriya means sensory pleasures. Aramaha means sports. In other words, they are immersed in sensory pleasures. They spend their time in sensory pleasures. In other words, they do not know anything superior to it. Their entire time is about spending their time is all about seeking comforts, keep seeking enjoyment. Where can I get good food, good dress, clothing, movies, sightseeing, all those things. Indriya Aramaha. They take that as the passion. They take them as passion. Then finally, Mogam Partasa. Mogam Partasa. Mogam, not Moham. Mogam means useless. Moham means delusion. Mogam means useless, vain. Mogam Partasa Jivati. Jivati means he lives in. Saha Mogam Jivati. He lives in vain. His life is useless. He is neither useful to himself nor useful to the society. He is not useful to himself because being a sensualist, he is only given to sensory pleasures. He is not going to accomplish anything greater. Partha, O Arjuna. So if a person does not live according to Karma Yoga, his life becomes useless. If a person does not live according to Karma Yoga, it means he does not follow Dharma. His life becomes useless, Moga Jivati. He is constantly focusing on sensory pleasures, Indriya Aramaha, and therefore he leads a sinful life, Agayuhu. So this is what Bhagavan wants to convey here. Life is a gift. The problem is we do not value it, we do not understand it. Just living alone doesn't make our lives. And we are the ones who complicate by saying, unless I have these comforts and enjoyment, this life itself is useless. As if we are born only to enjoy and be in comfort. Problem is some people realize this much later in life. Very late in their 80s, some people realize that I have been chasing sensory pleasures, but I have wasted my life. I could have done something better which would have helped me in growing spiritually and for my next birth. But it will be too late by then. And the problem with our human body is, after death, this body is useless. We try to do so many things for our body to keep this body beautiful, young, healthy, happy, and all those things. But there is only a limited that we can do. First of all, second thing, after a certain period of time, it doesn't work. The third thing is, it is useless after death. At least for some animals, they are useful for their skin, their teeth, their hair. Rhino horn is there, elephant's tusk is there, elephant's hair they use. There are so many, those things are being useful. But for human beings, life also becomes useless when we don't follow Dharma, and after death also it's utterly useless. So Bhagavan says, what is the use of such life? So life is meaningful only when we have shared to the society, we have given it back, and in the process and following Dharma, especially following Dharma and ultimately seeking moksha. So in other words, Bhagavan says, in this world, he who does not follow the cosmic cycle which is initiated by me in this manner, he is a sinful and sensual person. He lives in vain, O Arjuna. Now with this, Karma Yoga is concluded. Next, Bhagavan is going to talk about something else. But before we go into the sloka, let us see what we have seen in Karma Yoga. And do you guys mind if the class extends by another 10 or 15 minutes, because I want to complete the Karma Yoga summary. If you are okay, just raise your hands. So Karma Yoga summary. Now, so far we have been seeing Karma Yoga for long. We may get this feeling like, I know something about Karma Yoga, but I do not seem to fully grasp it. So we will do a quick summary of the entire Karma Yoga that we have seen from the second chapter. Now, if we started Karma Yoga in the second chapter, 47th Sloka. You remember, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palay beturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. The seed of Karma Yoga was given there. Bhagavan said, Arjuna, until the time you get Chitta Shuddhi, you do not have the right to give up Karma Yoga. And Karmanyeva adhikaraste. You have right only on actions. You do not have the right to give up action until you get mental purity. And as long as you attain mental purity, you will have to remain in action. And he says, therefore you do not desire on the outcome. Why we should not desire on the outcome? Because the moment we keep a desire on the result, we may get punya or papa. And if we want to get Chitta Shuddhi, karma must be performed as Karma Yoga. And therefore we should not have any desire on the outcome. We can have some expectation, but whatever be the outcome, we should be in a position to accept it. That the result of whether it is papam or punyam or chitta shuddhi comes out of our sankalpa. When we do the action, if we have this act, if we perform that action with a desire in the mind, saying, I want to get this, and therefore I am doing it, we may get papam or punyam. Or rather, we will get papam or punyam. But if we do not have, and I take it as Ishvara Arpana, and I do perform this action as if I am performing to Ishvara, then the result of it is Chitta Shuddhi. So this is the first introduction of Karma Yoga, which came in 247. Then in the next sloka itself, there was an important phrase, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyakva dhananjaya siddhayo asiddhayo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So even if we are not able to remember the whole sloka, we should remember this phrase, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. This is an important lakshana or definition of Karma Yoga. Being equanimous, being equipoised in all situations. Now this is easier said than done. Very difficult to do. And we always like to be in extremes also. We want to be either extremely sad or extremely happy. We either love something or we hate something. We want to eat a lot or we want to stay without eating. We want to either talk a lot or we want to remain quiet. Being balanced is very difficult. And what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga says being samatvam in all aspects, in all our emotions, in all our thoughts, in all our actions, in our speech, being equanimous. So that is sloka number 48. Then the same chapter, sloka number 50, we saw the next lakshana of Karma Yoga, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. Buddhi yukto jahati hai ube sukrita dushkrite tasmat yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. So we saw generally karma gives us or generates ragadvesha. Any action that we do results in likes or dislikes. So to be able to remove this ragadvesha, strong likes and dislikes, the way to do it is to do karma as Karma Yoga, perform karma as Karma Yoga. And that is a skill, Kaushalam. Kaushalam means skill. To convert actions which binds us into a sadhana for getting out of bondage, that is Karma Yoga. So this is another definition, another lakshana of Karma Yoga. And what is the benefit of Karma Yoga that was given in sloka number 52? This is also an important shloka, where this is an indication. When can I stop doing Karma Yoga? Have I achieved what I have to achieve? Have I got Chitta Shuddhi? So this is the lingam. Yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitirishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya sutavyascha. Bhagavan gives the benefit of Karma Yoga here. He says the benefit of Karma Yoga is Viveka and Vairagya. What is Viveka? What is Vairagya? Discrimination and dispassion. See, we all have this buddhi. This intelligence, that in buddhi that we have, it is useful only if it is able to differentiate or discriminate between Nitya Vastu and Anitya Vastu. What is permanent and what is impermanent. So this is Vivekam. Vivekam is able to discriminate between what is permanent and what is impermanent. And then once we are able to discriminate on all things that are anityam, impermanent, the attitude that one must have is Vairagyam, dispassion. Here, tada gantasi nirvedam. Nirvedam is the word that is used to denote Vairagyam. Shrotavyasya srutavyasya. Shrutasya means Shrotavyasya srutasya means that which has been heard and that is yet to be heard. So in other words, that which has been experienced and that is which has to be yet to be experienced. So that which has to be experienced, meaning I have not experienced, say for example, somebody says, I have not experienced space travel, but I want to have space travel. So how can I get, I can still have attachment because I have not experienced it. Or something, some dish that you had never eaten in your life, or some place that you had never visited. For example, somebody says, I had never visited Northern Lights. I want to go there. But if you are able to get Vairagyam on that also, that which you have not experienced. And here in particular, it also talks about Swargam. Swarga also, if a person says, I have Vairagyam on Swarga also, that is called as Shrotavyasya Shrutasya cha. So this is the Lakshana of Karma Yoga. So how will we know whether we are performing Karma Yoga or not? How will we know whether we are progressing or not? As days go by, if we see our Vairagya is increasing or not. In other words, my attachment on Bhoga Vastu, is it decreasing or not? So this is how we can actually see the progress, and the end state is what Bhagavan has given in this Sloka. So these are the points that on Karma Yoga that was discussed in second chapter. Now we will go to the third chapter, where Karma Yoga is spoken in chapter 3. Now Bhagavan started that in Sloka number 8. There he began Karma Yoga with Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. Bhagavan says, do your duties, do your Nitya and Nainitika Karma. Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam Karmajyayo Hya Karmanaha Sharira Yatrapi Chate Naprasadhyet Akarmanaha. Here we saw that there are many karmas that are talked in Shastras. We saw Nitya Karma, Nainitika Karma, Prayaschitta Karma, Nishiddha Karma, Kamya Karma. We saw all those karmas. And before that we actually split the karmas as two. Actions that are generated through our likes and dislikes, and actions that are generated through the knowledge that these are my responsibilities. And so Raga Dvesha Janyam Karma and Kartavyam Buddhi Janya Karma, we saw them. And Bhagavan stated that do not do, or rather do those that are kartavyam buddhi janya karma. When he said niyatam kuru karma, it meant nitya karma and naimityika karmas. And we also saw that one should not do nishiddha karma. Actions that are not allowed in Vedas should not be performed. One should reduce prayashchita karma and kamya karma. Kamya karma you can continue to do, slowly it will reduce. But the important thing to note is we should do our duties, and that too without any attachment on the action itself, which means I should not have any liking for particular duty and dislike for any particular duty. All duties must be treated in the same manner. And the second thing is I should not have action on the result of the duty. I should not expect anything in return when I perform a duty. Whatever I need to get, I will get from Bhagavan. Then in Sloka number 9, Bhagavan gave the attitude by which these actions must be performed. These duties, what should be the attitude? Bhagavan said, Yajñārtāt karmanaha anyatra. Perform Karma Yoga as an offering to Ishvara. Yajñārtāt karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So here what we have to remember is what type of action and what type of attitude should be done. And Karma Yoga is about to do what actions to be performed and what is not to be performed, what is to be reduced, what is to be increased, all those things we saw. Then the attitude that one should have, Bhagavan said, actions must be performed as an offering to Ishvara. Ishvara Arpanam. Then in Sloka number 10, Bhagavan, we saw the Pancha Maha Yajñas. What are the Pancha Maha Yajñas? Deva Yajña, Pitru Yajña, Brahma Yajña, Manushya Yajña and Bhuta Yajña. The Sloka is Saha Yajña Praja Shrishpa Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam Eshavos Twishta Kamaduk. Our life should be in the form of a sacrifice. This is one part of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a life of sacrifice, not a life of grabbing. Then in Sloka number 11 we saw Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. Devan Bhavayata Nene Te Deva Bhavayantu Vaha. Parasparam Bhavayantaha Shreya Parama Avapsyata. Whatever benefit we seek, Bhagavan said, or Shastra says, it should be got through our effort only. We should not seek some benefit or enjoy anything without any effort. And general weakness for us is we seek to enjoy things without putting in effort. Some people call this as working smart, or otherwise we also seek freebies. So whenever we have got more than what we have invested, as in the form of effort or money, we think we are smart or profitable. That's what we think, correct? So in Karma Yoga, whenever we are doing anything as Karma Yoga, then especially around duties and others, we should ensure that we are contributing more than what we are consuming. So Karma Yoga is a life of contribution, not consumption. Then in Sloka 12, we saw the initial days of Karma Yoga. It is okay to perform Kamya Karma. Kamya Karma is okay. You can perform. In other words, desire-driven actions are okay. But Bhagavan gave two conditions. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dhasyante yajna bhavitaha tairdattan apradhyayebhya yo bhunkte stena eva saha. The two conditions that Bhagavan gave was, one, we should have prasada buddhi. We should accept whatever be the outcome. We should not complain. We should not grumble. And the second thing is dhanam. Whatever we have, we should share and enjoy. And what is the benefit of such an attitude? When we have Ishvara Prasada Buddhi on the results of the action, we will start getting vairagya on these actions. So automatically the kamya karmas will start reducing. This is the benefit of Karma Yoga. And also a reverential life will be, we will be following a reverential life. Remember, Karma Yoga is a reverential life. A non-reverential life where we do not bring Ishvara into the picture, it is just action. It is materialistic life. Only a reverential life is Karma Yoga. Then in Sloka 13, Bhagavan talked about the consequence of a Karmi and a Karma Yoga. Karma Yogi. Karmi and a Karma Yogi. He said a person who partakes after doing yajna, he is freed from all sins. A person performs yajna and then, which means the Panchamahayajnas he performs, he shares with everybody first, then he has for himself, he is freed from all sins. And Bhagavan says, those who cook only for themselves and they eat not food but only sins. Ye atma karanat pachanti te papa agham bhunjate. They eat sin. So that is the difference between a karmi and a karma yogi. Then finally in Sloka 14-15, Bhagavan said, Annad bhavanti bhutani. Bhagavan gave the Jagat Chakram, cosmic cycle. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavah yajnad bhavati parjanyoha yajna karma samudbhavah. And then 15th also, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Bhagavan says, if the world must be in order, if the society must be in harmony, then it can only happen through Karma Yoga. And here it does not, the Slokas does not talk about individual lifestyle, but for the human society itself, if it must remain in order, then the human beings should live the life of Karma Yoga, should live according to the Vedas. And then finally concluded, Bhagavan in 16th Sloka said, one who does not follow this cosmic cycle, which has been initiated by Ishvara himself, one who does not follow this Karma Yoga lifestyle, he lives a sinful life, he leads a useless life. And thus, Karma Yoga is concluded in these two chapters in this manner. Now, in the next Sloka onwards, Bhagavan is going to talk about certain other things that are related to Karma Yoga, which we will see in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay.
Namaste. Can I ask a quick one?
Yeah.
Actually, we say the life should be as per Vedas, actually. And what we are currently studying is Vedanta. Am I right? Like Vedanta is basically, the Vedas are talking about the yajnas and the things that which the rituals that are being done. Correct me, my understanding could be totally wrong. Vedas totally talk about all that, like what are the various yajnas to be performed and the methods of that, mantras and that, and all that kind of stuff. And so, what do we, the common people, know anything about that? Or, currently what we are learning is Vedanta, and even the Karma Yoga and other things, what is being taught is all part of Vedanta. Am I right?
Okay. Vedanta is also part of Vedas. You are right that Vedas talk about yajnas and all those things, but yajnas alone are not the Vedas. Vedas does not talk about yajnas alone. There are other things also. And of course, today the Vedas, to understand, for a person to directly understand Vedas is going to be difficult. And therefore, the Shrutis are difficult. There came the Smritis. Then the Smritis, we have Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti. Manusmriti is a one particular Smriti which explains everything that is in the Vedas as to how to lead a life here in this world. So the Smritis are the next, actually our source of information, or should be our source of information. And In the case of Smritis also, if we are not able to do it, then we take the helps of Sishtachara, which these concepts we will be again seeing in the same chapter in a few slokas from now, in terms of how do we structure our lives, in terms of what to be followed and what not to be followed. But just a quick answer to you, yes, Vedas are not just yajnas alone. Going to Vedas directly will be difficult. There are smritis which actually help us to understand things, and there are also the spiritual classes where people say, what needs to be performed. The Panchamaha Yajnas is a very good way to actually know what needs to be done and what need not be done.
Is the Panchamaha Yajna coming from the Vedas, or is it coming from the Vedanta side?
Panchamaha Yajnas are from...
That's a great concept.
Panchamaha Yajnas are coming from the Vedas. Again, Veda Antas means it's also part of Vedas only. So, Vedantas are not separate from Vedas. It's just that Veda Purva Bhaga and Veda Anta Bhaga, that's all. So, one is coming from the beginning portion of Vedas, the other is the end portion of Vedas. But put together as only
Vedanta
Vedas.
Is not the outside of Vedas.
No, Vedanta is not outside of Vedas. So, I hope I am able to answer that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. If not, then we will see again in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.